and then we can get to our America 250 podcast live stream posted Heartbeat of America. So I'm just checking again, making sure that everything's working. Right, it's working on the Tech Boy Media. Let me check on Tech Boy. On Truth, and we should be going to X, but for now, I can always make sure that we upload. So hello, everybody, and welcome to our special Pulse, the Heartbeat of America, America 250 live stream, live on July 4th, the first ever podcast. We have podcasted on July 4th because it fell right on a Saturday, as you guys know. We always go live on these Saturdays, and I've been uploading. I'm almost there. I have about 50 to about 70 episodes left, about a year of the way through, of all of our episodes onto Spotify, and that means we're going to be on Apple Music and iHeartRadio. So you're going to be able to listen to us wherever you get the best podcast, guys. We have over 200 episodes, almost 200 episodes. We're going to get an official count after these get uploaded. But welcome back to Pulse, the Heartbeat of America, where we get to celebrate the greatest country on planet Earth. And I have so much in store for you today. Last night, I published the article of the top 25 technology inventions, and then the President of the United States basically listed off some of those inventions as well. Did he read that article? No, because it's published after he spoke. But or as he was speaking. And then we're going to get into there's some pretty interesting things happening in evangelical culture, which is good because there's not that much to talk about. And of course, we have our top 5 headlines and our America 250 July 4th redesign of the website. After July 4th, of course, the website is going to go back to normal, but it's going to keep the same theme. So the old theme was kind of clunky. The new theme is a lot better. Just a few problems with it, but we should be able to do this as well. And then we're in the vMix America 250 studio. Not sponsored, guys. Just telling you the software that we're using, guys. Hope you guys can see this on the screen. Look at this cool transition here from the techboy.org, the greatest tech website on planet Earth. All right, in any case, we'll get to the top 25 tech inventions later. We'll get that at the end of the episode. Let's get to Take 5, Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. But first, I want to make sure that since I cannot see comments on here, I will be looking at the comments on my phone. So if I'm looking down, that is why. All right, here we go. All right. Look at the fireworks, guys. Isn't it amazing? I mean, it's great living in this awesome country. Anyway, here are the top 5 tech headlines of June, last month, guys. Per 9 to 5 Google, Twitter/X head of product Nikita Beer confirmed that the platform X has migrated elsewhere, which is why the recently used section was purged and why you might notice fewer GIF/GIF options when posting. So, Tenu, Google has killed something yet again. They killed Tenu at the end of June. Tenu was the platform that was used to host a lot of GIFs. Now, the platform is not completely dead. You can still access it. You can still use their website. But the third-party APIs, so all the websites that use it, like X and other social platforms that use the GIFs, aren't going to be able to have access to that anymore unless you use this special application called the GIF Keyboard application, or since it's a Google product, you can use Google's own software on there. So if you have Google Messages, Gmail, etc., it's still baked in there. What do I think about this? Google, please stop killing stuff. Please. It's truly annoying. I honestly don't know why we put up with this. You need to stop doing this. Honestly. Just stop. Also, it's going to be so annoying if I want to use some sort of GIF, unless they are like a large company like X, where they can probably host their own stuff, or maybe have a special deal. I don't know what they mitigate it to. But if you're a smaller company and you don't have that much to, that many developers or that many coders, what are we going to see, guys? Like, you're going to have to use that keyboard. Do we really want to have to download another keyboard? I mean, I have on my phone right now, let's see how many keyboards I have on my phone. And I am a techie person. This is a tech show. We've got the Futo keyboard. Futo voice input method, I'm going to count that as 1 because I don't know why it shows up as 2, but it's 1. The Gboard application, Google voice typing, I'm going to count that as 1 as well. So that's 2. Irregular expressions, Microsoft SwiftKey, and Samsung keyboard. So about 5 keyboards on here as well. And if I want to use those, then I have to, well, I guess Samsung has GIFs in this, but if I want to use that, I have to use their special GIF keyboard or maybe Gboard. I'm not sure. But, it's just not a really good look. Kind of sad overall. Now, next we have Motorola, who has unleashed these trackers, and I think this is amazing. Of course, Android getting its own Find My network. That's cool. Especially since I've reviewed the Samsung Smart Tags before. I had the older version of it, the ones that kind of look like a little diamond, and then I had the one that looks like a notch. And both of them lost connectivity to my phone. I literally lost the tracker. So seeing some competition in this space is great. In our next segment, I am going to talk about the rumors that the Galaxy Flip may not come out next. Like the Flip 8 might be the last Flip. I'm going to give my opinion on that on next week's episodes. It's a Take 5 headline for next week, guys. So, I am always reading on here, which that's one of the things that I've been struggling with, actually, which I need to find more interesting things to read. I mean, when I'm covering the news and tech news and other news as well, I want to be completely informed on an issue. I take such long bus rides and Lyft rides and Uber rides and all these places, and I'm going all around the world. I don't want to just sit there and scroll Instagram or read X. Not saying that's a bad thing, but that's what I've been doing, and I want to be able to read more productive things and become more interesting person as well. But sadly, most of the applications for stuff like that, Pocket, Instead, Flipboard can suggest content that I don't care about. They might suggest me something. Oh, this person wore a dress. Wow, I don't care that they wore a dress. I really don't care. Ooh, if I cared what what's that was Alex Earl was wearing, I said this before. If I cared what she was wearing, then I go to her Instagram page and look. I would not look at the Instagram. If I would not care about reading it in a newspaper. That's ridiculous. The quote came out wrong. But in any case, but going back to the Motorola trackers, it has a non-rechargeable battery because it's a button battery that supposedly lasts up to 500 days. Obviously, since they just came out, I can't make any claims about that because there's no way I can know if it lasts 500 days or not. Obviously, we could just go look at the box of the battery, but that doesn't tell us how long it lasts. It's like that tracker. So come back in 500 days, guys, and I'll tell you if it lasts 500 days. And it allows ultra wideband. And I'm hoping that this is a great tracker. It works with Android phones. In fact, it uses Bluetooth 7.0, which other phones can take advantage of, but not the Motorola phone, which is really funny that these trackers are technically better on other people's phones than Motorola's. In artificial intelligence news, Claude Mythos is now approved by the United States government to be granted to certain organizations. Now, on one hand, great. And I read something about this. Again, another thing that we're going to be talking about in next week's episode. This is a preview for next week's episode. This episode is, of course, about honoring the United States of America. But anyway, Claude was taken away from some Chinese company because they feared security risks, which is kind of funny because we fear their security risks as well. This is like the Cold War of artificial intelligence, where the two superpowers, the United States and now China, instead of the USSR, are competing for who's going to be the top in artificial intelligence, and hopefully the United States wins because we are, once again, the greatest country on planet Earth. And, it's better to have us in homogeny and have us as the leaders of the world than to have any other country as the leader of the world, okay? No matter how you may feel about that. Now, let me just make sure no comments about coming in. Nope, not yet. Okay. No matter how you may feel about that. Now, I am kind of opposed to having the United States government regulate most forms of technology. Obviously, if we're going to regulate technology, it has to be like complicated missile technology, right? But if it's, an artificial intelligence model, China most likely already has. I mean, China already knows how to make nuclear weapons as well. They have a team of hackers. They have kids who are addicted to video games, okay? So I'm conflicted about this because I don't want the government in technology as much as possible. We see this happening with the KIDS Act, the Kids Online Safety Act, which is a bad act. It's going to basically force social media platforms to make you upload an ID to use them to keep teenagers off the platform, which we don't want that to happen. Now, are there some disadvantages to teenagers on social media? Obviously, there's disadvantages to everything that exists. I mean, if one of the presidents of the United States died by eating too many cherries. Okay, that's kind of embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was Zachary Taylor, but that's kind of embarrassing if you think about it. Like, really, you are the most powerful man in the country, and you just die by eating too many cherries. But we don't see cherry regulation, and they took out the most powerful man in the country and the leader of the free world. So I don't think we should be seeing this sort of social media regulation as well. Obviously, we're not going to have that many anonymous accounts anymore, which, our founding fathers, they basically had anonymous quote-unquote accounts when they were writing the Federalist Papers, talk back and forth to each other. I think that's a good thing. When we have the internet, and social media for teenagers, it allows them to do so many great things. I mean, think about all the great political commentators that we see who are maybe 15 years old. Well, Danny's 16 now. She had a birthday 2 days ago, so happy birthday to Danny. But I mean, think about her. I mean, imagine she would just not be allowed to exist anymore if this law went into effect. Kinda. Kind of, because there's always going to be kids of us. They'll always find a way. Though, unless you start charging money, which I really hope they don't start doing, then there's not really going to be right. And even if you start charging money, so it's a ridiculous act, right? Because it's going to force companies to upload IDs to stuff, and some people are going to comply to it. And they're going to have more access to your IDs, which is not that good for data breach. Honestly, I don't want if my Instagram gets hacked, I don't want people seeing my social security card and my ID just so I could like a photo. Good grief. And we have people saying, "Oh, we want to have the kids off their phones and do this and yada 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 yada." Yada. Look, I'm not saying that I want people on their phones 18 hours a day, sitting in front of a screen, like you guys were doing in the 80s, by the way, sitting in front of a television screen. I'm pretty sure you tried to regulate that. That will work as well. But there needs to be a healthy medium balance, right? I am, pragmatically opposed to parental controls, but I'd much rather have that than have the Kids Online Safety Act be forced to upload my ID just to use the internet, which is something, yeah, I don't really like that. And I don't really like, having to do this for Claude. But again, Claude could probably make a weapon of mass destruction if he asked it. And yeah, some of our enemies, Russia, China, Iran, already have those sort of weapons, so they don't need that help. But, do I really want some guy on the side of the road just typing into Claude? How do you make a nuke? Now, obviously, even if he's able to get that kind of information, he's not going to be able to get the enriched uranium to make one. But, you know, I don't want him being able to hack into stuff. I'm very conflicted because I want to be able to do this because I'm a white hat hacker. I think that technology is cool and interesting, but do we want other people to have that kind of power? I don't know, but do I want the government to have that power? So this is a very interesting debate. The kind of debate that's interesting about artificial intelligence, right? Too many of these debates are just, artificial intelligence is bad, guys, and I don't like it, and we should bomb the data centers with the B-2 airplane because I feel like it, and it's terrible. It's taking my job, and you find out that they were unemployed in the beginning. Look, again, like I've said multiple times, there are many legitimate arguments to have against artificial intelligence. But, you know, the people who are anti-artificial intelligence, most of the time, who are leading the debate are insufferable. I'm sorry. Okay, you're out there talking about committing acts of terrorism. You're out there basically saying anyone who uses artificial intelligence kills children and is evil, yada yada yada. You're basically saying, oh, my art program is so useful. Yeah, you're like, you need a machine to draw, guys. I drew this with my pen. Like, guys, you don't have to be insufferable. You can communicate your point without being annoying. That's things you can do. And after artificial intelligence news, Google has released Nano Banana 2 Lite, which is a much faster but slightly more inaccurate version of its Nano Banana image generator technology, cutting down an image that would take 20 seconds to 4 seconds. Now, that's going to be great for the internet. Great. Congratulations. Wow. But I think the interesting thing that we're seeing here is that these models now are going to come onto our private devices offline. That's what I'm looking for, right? I think that this is basically what's it called, Moore's law of artificial intelligence. And if we can get some of these, slightly worse but still good models on our phones and get them to work, I'm still gonna test out the Gemini offline for you guys. That what's it called, Gemma model. I'll get a test out for you guys for that one. I think that's gonna be amazing. Like, if we're able to do this offline, obviously it's going to be less censored. We're going to be able to do a lot more through our devices. Like I was talking about, I want to be able to explore and read and grow and make this podcast really interesting. And also, I want to be a more interesting person. I don't want to only talk about the same boring 5 tech headlines for an hour and a half with you guys. I want to have some form of community with you guys as well. And I think that artificial intelligence, Perplexity is going to help us be able to do that. But I want to also be able to do this offline. Imagine I see the value of a phone, the value of software, the value of a computer, of not what you can do when you're on the ground, but what you can do when you're 35,000 feet on the ground, above the ground on a plane. What can your phone do on a plane? How useful is it? You're stripping most communication abilities except for I think Bluetooth works in airplane mode. So yeah, you can wear your Bluetooth headphones. You can communicate. You can text someone via Bluetooth, right? You can have data banks on here as well. And I think that when we look over at the history of technology, it's so impressive what we were doing with technology at the time. And we're going to get to this when we get to the top 25. I mean, think about it. Our American engineers and ingenuity took literal sand and struck it with a nuke basically, and turned it into the computers that we see today with silicons and the transistors. And they even did this in Minecraft, actually, which is actually kind of impressive. There's this thing in Minecraft called Redstone. I'm getting ahead of myself, but they built their own computer in it because it has all the connectivity that you need to build some sort of computer in it. They somehow coded inside of it. Pretty impressive. But think about that. Minecraft already exists as a game, is already existing on a computer, it's already existing in silicon. The silicon, the chip in your computer, had to actually be made. People had to actually figure that out. Isn't that amazing? But now that we have everything figured out, now it's just, again, I'm not 100% anti-social media, I'm not 100% pro-social media. It's just people sitting there watching stupid videos 24/7. I don't think that is a good thing. We need to grow, explore, and imagine. That is, again, what makes America America. Is, we're going out there and we're growing and expanding and imagining things bigger, better, and greater. In the 1800s, of course, it's manifest destiny. And in the 1900s, it's, of course, our technological innovations with 2 world wars in between. And now it's going into more technological innovations as well. But we need to keep the pedal to the metal. I'm just saying we need to keep driving, we need to keep innovating, we need to keep learning and exploring. Anyway, back to Adobe, who just bought Topaz Lab. I think I've used them a few times before. It might have been years ago, but I think I've used them before. It's an AI image enhancer software, and Adobe has acquired it. Now, I think I see this going one of two ways. Either, and I want it to go this way. Either it's what happens to Affinity, which is Adobe buys it, they make it free, and they lock behind the some of the features behind the paywall. So Affinity, as you guys know, used to be a graphic design software that worked completely offline. It was a competitor to Adobe Suite, and you only bought it one time. I think it was like $50 for each program, maybe like $150, $200 for the entire bundle. Well, Canva bought them, and when Canva bought them, they made Affinity's programs free, which is actually kind of sad. I was thinking about buying Affinity, and I'm glad I didn't because I got it for free. Those people, of course, they paid their $50 to Affinity, and they're not going to get it back unless they bought it maybe for like a month or something, maybe. Anyway, Canva made those features free, but the artificial intelligence features that you see in Canva, like image background remove, AI image generation, some of those features, and of course the video editor that's inside the Canva, need access to the internet, and they need access. I think it's like $15 a month for your Canva subscription. I'm hoping that's what Adobe does, where you can play some of the features here. Maybe it's free. Of course, they get some of the data, and Adobe locks and integrates some of those features into their own software. However, per Adobe, Adobe said that Topaz's products will remain as standalone offerings through the company's website after the deal closes. Eric Yang will continue to lead the Topaz Labs team following the transaction. The transaction is expected to close in the second half of 2026, subject to regulatory approvals and customary closing conditions. So, what are we learning about artificial intelligence? It basically shows that we have left the AI golden age. A few major software companies are going to dominate online AI. Back in 2022, 2023, and even into 2024, everyone and their mother and in their garage was creating an artificial intelligence program or something that did something. Now, most of these were rappers that for ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever. So it's not like they created it themselves. But some people created their own software. Well, of course, that is expensive to run. You have to build these data centers, or of course, they won't build the data centers themselves. You have to contract that out. Or if it worked offline, of course, it'd be an expensive program because only the top percentage of computer programs can run it. So if they want to make money, they have to sell money for that. Now we have these bigger companies like Google and Adobe and X and Microsoft, who can afford this kind of technology, and they're going to buy out some of these smaller companies, and we're going to basically see what happened in the age of the internet, what happened in the age of the computers, right? Everyone and their mom was making computers back then, and now we only have like a few computer retailers who are actually noticeable. Make sure you can get some cheap Chinese computer off of Amazon or Alibaba or whatever. But I mean, if you really want that, no, you don't. No, you don't want that computer, guys. All right, let me see. I'm going to ask chat. Do you want me to go into the Christian news segment first? Because I have a lot to say about that. Or do you want me to go into the top 25 American tech inventions? Well, no one's in chat, so let's go to the Christian news segment first. I have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. First, let's go over to is it this one? Oh no. I think we lost our tab. Pretty sad. Hopefully it's in my history. Here it is. Yeah, so let me give you the context of this, guys. Hopefully you guys can see this on the. Oh wait, I forgot I was sharing the screen, so you did see this. Anyway, hope you guys can see this on the screen. Um, this guy, Matt Chan, who's a pastor of a church, I think in Texas somewhere, uh, is really renovating his sanctuary. And because he's renovating the sanctuary, they're closing the church and having online services for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And people on the internet pretended to get upset about this. Oh no, we can't forsake the assembling of the brethren, guys. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's in the right now. Well, how dare we go online, COVID taught us a story that, we really need to go to church and be around the people. You can't watch it. Yeah, okay, great. Let's say I agree with you guys, which I kind of did. First of all, none of y'all go to that church. None of y'all even live in the state. Okay, so this affects you in no way whatsoever. You have no stake in this church. None of your family members go to this church. No one you know goes to this church. Some of y'all haven't even been to Texas. Or wherever it is. Well, I think it's in Texas, but maybe he hasn't, maybe he hasn't. Why does this matter to you? How is this a problem? Honestly. Well, who's dying at this point? Second of all, it's not like COVID where you have a church shut down and, you think it's tyrannical and it's like multiple months. No. They're shutting down because he's renovating the sanctuary. That is, I would think, is an acceptable reason to shut down. I don't know. And also, this is America. This is Texas. If you guys really need to go that badly, in person, because you can't watch online, which again, I respect that. If you really need to go that badly, guys, throw a rock. You will find some other church. You can visit other churches, guys. You can visit other churches. I'm loyal to the United States of America, but that does not mean I can't visit any of the countries. Okay? It's not anti-American to go visit Canada or Mexico or Chad or Egypt. And in the same way, it is not anti your church to go visit some other church if they're having online services. I visited lots of churches before. Like, my gosh, guys, could you please stop freaking out? I mean, I've actually seen so many people online, like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. He's moving his hands weird, which is supposed to be bad or something. But some people are suggesting that he hold the service outside. Let me just check to make sure I'm not making this up. Matt Chandler. He is a pastor in Flower Mound, Texas. Yes, in Texas. You want him to hold a service outside in the middle of summer in Texas. Do you want? God, do you guys want to stand out there, him out there in some park or something, in a field, having a worship service with like 1,000 people in 110-degree heat just so we can virtue signal, guys? Really? You want people out there, having a heat stroke and fainting just because you feel like, we really need to get together, guys. There's so many other solutions here. It's not like the government telling him you have to shut down your church. It's not like people saying shut down your church or you're going to jail. Okay, that'd be totally different. If someone said that, we had to do. If there was an outbreak of mold in his church for 3 weeks, and he said, guys, we can't have services because there's mold, would you be freaking out about this? No, you wouldn't. He's having construction inside the sanctuary. It's not like they're having construction on the cross on top of the church. It's not like they're having construction no, they're having construction where the people are going to be worshiping. How on earth does that make any sense? Any sense to have a service inside of there? God, can the devotional industrial complex stop virtue signaling for like one day? Can we do that, guys? Is that possible to not care? Actually, I only care because you care. I don't care about. I've never heard of this guy before. I'm not endorsing him or anything. I've never heard a single sermon of his, but I've heard they were good. So maybe I'll listen. I'll give it a listen. But can we stop pretending that this is any real problem. Last I checked, no one died. Some of y'all, I even told someone that, like, look, it's Texas. It's 110 degrees. You don't want the elderly out there having heat stroke and dying in a field or something, in a park. And they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I mean, maybe some of these people just didn't think it through, which makes sense. But again, it's kind of like virtue signaling. With some of the worst things in the world, like this, just don't virtue signal. Just... Anyway, another podcast has landed, guys. This is the Elevation Youth podcast. I used to watch them during COVID, guys, when I was at home doing virtual church. So yeah, if you guys want to judge me, do that. Anyway, I watched Elevation Youth growing up, doing virtual service. This was back in 2020, obviously. Some of 2020, actually. Anyway, I didn't know they had a podcast, but I think this is really interesting. Unfortunately, I had it 2 years ago in 2024. 2024 was kind of peak. 2024 was a good year, guys. But I had this podcast, and this is actually kind of funny, guys. This really goes to show what the devotional industrial complex is doing. Like it's really funny, actually. So let me cut to the cameras, guys. Hope you guys can see this on the screen. This studio is so fun, but it takes like an hour to set up, and also it costs $500 every 60 days, which is I have to keep renewing the trial. Anyway, this is the Youth Nation podcast, and I'm gonna give my opinion and take on this afterwards. So here we go.
Yeah, you kind of gave me some good stuff. You want me to do it right?
Oh my gosh, no, we cannot have that kind of echo, guys. So maybe if I mute myself.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're starting off.
Why are we echoing? Wait. There it is. Yes, I see problem. Please bear with me, guys. There we go. Hopefully this works. Hopefully you guys can hear this. If not, we'll just edit it in post so that you guys can hear what's happening on screen.
Off.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
With
this is your moment. This is
Holy
your
Spirit. Pick it up and preach.
Oh,
So that was their own echo. That was them. That wasn't me. Okay, guys. I was so scared.
my gosh.
Something.
Okay, well let's do it.
How
Okay.
long do you think about it before you usually do it?
I just go straight in.
All right,
Oh,
let's go.
hallelujah.
Let's go straight
Hallelujah.
in.
I don't want to pick something easy because
Okay.
this I feel like is really easy.
Yeah, we
What
put
do you
a
want me to
different,
touch?
a lot of variety.
Okay, we're gonna go with batteries. That's what I heard.
Okay.
Holy Spirit, give me the words to speak, Father God.
Trust you that you're going to deliver a message. Thank you, Holy Spirit.
Just give me a word on what these batteries are. Okay. You already know what time it is. It's time to pick it up and preach. Okay, this is batteries. Everybody say batteries.
Batteries.
So the sole purpose of batteries is to charge something that is empty and dull.
Okay.
Right?
Come on, girl.
So a lot of the times when we're coming empty, I love the Bible when Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary, heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Right? If you're burdened and you need rest, I will give it to you.
Right.
And it's because we're coming weary, we're coming empty. We need that charge up in our spirits, right? And a lot of the times we'll go to God just kind of at this course, like, "Oh, God, I need you, I'm weak." And he gives us strength. When we're in a posture of weakness, his strength
on.
is most elevated. And batteries work to their best ability when you put something, I'm gonna use this remote for a sec.
Can you tell which one of us is real and which one of us is AI? How about now? Does this look real to you? If you thought I was AI, then you'd be.
But if there
look
was
at
no
that.
batteries
Double item.
in this, right? This has no purpose, and it's able to do nothing if there's not a source behind it. So we
on.
come to God like an empty remote,
Yep.
just like you and me. I have all.
Yeah, guys, that's enough of that. All right, okay. When I saw this, I was like, well, this is literally the devotional industrial complex. I mean, am I wrong on that one, guys? Like, really? This is actually funny. They're doing this game here where they're taking some like random object. Hey guys, look at this charger here. And they're somehow giving it spiritual meaning, which is really funny. I mean, this is basically what the Keys for Kids devotional writers are doing, okay? There's this kid who went to this church and they were like, oh, it's all fluff or whatever. He liked the church because they play lots of games or whatever. But the dad was like, nah, we don't want you going to this church because you won't learn anything, or you're not going to grow spiritually. Which, sure. And so what happened to teach this kid a lesson is, he baked him his favorite meal, which was yams and marshmallows on top, or sweet potatoes and marshmallows on top, or whatever. He baked it to them, and he gave it to the kid. The kid, he started digging into it. He's like, wait, where are the sweet potatoes? Where are the yams? He's like, there's only marshmallows in here. And the dad comes in. He's like, son, this is basically what that church is: all sweetness and no nutrition, which is not that good of an analogy because the sweet potatoes are also sweet, so there's that. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff, these people just be looking at anything random. Oh, look at this electrical outlet. Let me see what God is. Let me see going to speak to an electrical outlet. And sure, he spoke to a donkey, and he spoke to a burning bush, but really a pack of batteries. And then they're sitting there. It's so funny when you were cutting here. Let's go cut back to the image here of these people. And these podcasts, it's all basically the same. Wow, and almost 2 hours long. And these podcasters, guys, these podcasters, they always have the same mic, and they sit there, they basically have the same fashion. I saw one of these guys, I think he was being on the Bryce Crawford podcast. He's JXTBO, whatever. He was some sort of influencer who had basically this little story. His dad was a pastor, whatever. They moved around a lot. He moved from Dallas to Lebanon, Tennessee. Not Lebanon, the country, Lebanon, Tennessee. And he went to some Baptist high school or whatever. I guess it was Pentecostal, yeah, something like that. Some denomination. I don't care. Anyway, and he didn't really feel that Christian. You know, he went off to L.A. Wait a second, I've heard this story before. It's this story about some Christian kid going off to L.A. and then coming back. Oh, wait. Was that Judge Me Tender? No, not Judge Me Tender. It was the Jules episode in 2020. And the only reason I didn't like that episode was because I knew what was going to happen. What's going to happen? At the ripe age of 13, I knew what was going to happen, guys. I was listening to this episode. I was in my cousin's house. This was, of course, pre the doxing. This was 2020 me, guys. This is 2020 me. So, TechPoint Media, the TechPoint Media only exists for like 1 month at this time. That might not even have existed. So, we went out there saying controversial statements such as, Black Girl Magic doesn't exist, guys. I don't know. Like, really, is that supposed to be some sort of scandal? In any case, I was out there listening to the Adventures in Odyssey episode on the club, and I knew what was going to happen even at the ripe age of 13 years old. I was like, obviously she's going to go off to LA and find out that, LA's fake and bad, guys, and, we don't go to LA, Odyssey is better. Now, the Odyssey that exists is technically better than Los Angeles because you have state-of-the-art virtual reality software. You are at the heart of espionage in the middle of Ohio. You have the greatest ice cream shop of all time. You got the Wheel of Consequence. You got the Imagination Station, which I've actually ridden in before at the Ark. The Ark, not the Covenant, but the really big Ark, Noah's Ark, over in Kentucky. They have this virtual reality software that goes through the Bible of the biblical flood, which is pretty cool, actually. I've read that, but it costs like $60, right? So, this kid's going in there for free. Back in 1987, Digger Digwillow, he went into that thing with a and he becomes a Christian, right? So Digger Digwillow, he goes in there and becomes a Christian. But anyway, Jules, she goes to Los Angeles and, she goes through these trials. She has to fake date somebody. She doesn't like doing that. She hates trying to pretend to be vegan because she likes bacon or whatever. She hates being fake. Butt comes in, saves her, whatever. They go to come back to Odyssey, great. But, the idea of Odyssey, of being in this small Midwestern town, like, would I have to live in a small Midwestern town in Los Angeles? Honestly, both, actually. But, if I can afford it, I'm talking about living in a house or an apartment, not on the side of the road. Obviously, if it's even a tent in Los Angeles or a mansion in Minnesota, I'm going with the Minnesota mansion. In any case, and this kid, he has the same story of basically that he gets caught with drugs in his car or whatever in this van, and they're driving to Texas, California. It's a pretty long drive, and he goes to jail. And then he gets bailed out, and he sits on the bed or whatever, and he prays, God, please help come into my life. He calls Bryce Crawford, and now he's on Bryce Crawford's podcast and all this kind of stuff. It's some of the most basic stuff. And hey, guys, I'm not one podcast like this. I mean, if I knew this podcast existed back in 2023, 2025, I most definitely would have reacted to this. But I mean, honestly, taking some batteries and figuring out what God's will has to say about a pack of batteries is kind of funny. And I mean, they always dress the same as well. Like they always dress the same. Hope you guys can see this on the screen. But this is basically what one of the guests is wearing too. I don't know, maybe she's the host or whatever. And I think the son actually. Let's see. What's the other one? Another ad? My gosh! Wow. Anyway, I'll cut back. Well, the ad's not on. Anyway, I think the son. Because there was a clip of the son going on, which is how I found out the podcast. I think it was some sort of alleged controversy. I thought he looked like Oa to me. So, you know how much I like Oa. Oa is so cool, guys. Let me see if I can find the Oa post. But the son, he just looks Christian. Like you can tell. You can tell what these people look like just by the way that they look. Like he has that hair. Let me see if I can find it here, guys. Here it is. Oa. Oa. Right, here it is. This is from Mike Winger talking about this. Here it is. Because I
feel
looked
like
at the podcast. I looked at the podcast Watermark. Why am I forgetting basic words? My goodness. Anyway, I looked at the podcast Watermark, and hope you guys can see this on the screen. This is the son. I mean, you can just tell. I mean, look at him, guys. Look at him. Look at the hair in the dress and the not dress, but the audio listeners. It's like the way he's dressing. The show in the jeans, like, and they always finally we got a shot of all three of them. We got the we got the sweatpants and like the kind of baggiest shirt and long hair. And this kid, if I had to do a tier list of who's the most Christian. Like on the podcast, I think it's the person who just makes up something about the baddies. I mean, she really has a great job ahead of her of writing for Keys for Kids Radio. And the sad thing is that these podcasts, they kind of end, right? Because, like, how many topics are you going to talk about? Well, guys, we're on a sermon series about the Ten Commandments. I mean, how many times can you talk about the Ten Commandments before you run out of episodes and people are like, shut up. Shut up! Like, why do you hear this many times? That's why I'm kind of running out of topics to talk about for technology. It's probably talking about someone's dress for this long, but there's that. But I think it's really interesting. No hate to them. Like, I think this is really cool. Yeah, and again, this is the anniversary of even despite the doxing, despite people coming against me, guys, no weapon formed against me has prospered yet. Despite getting caught and nothing happening, once again, nothing. Anyway, here it is. Local teen celebrates 5 years of wholesome project guidance with Tech Boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, guys. This is the anniversary of the first time I was in the newspaper. Published on July 4th by C.K. Thompson, guys. This is the newspaper of me in the Woodlands Online newspaper, which is really funny. Because, of course, staying in the MI6 era. The MI6 era will still technically exist because MI6 said hi to me today, so there's that. Christy Marie Lamont is probably having a conniption. Imagine, like, this time last year, guys, think about it. We were in the throes of the fake scandal of Blonde Gate. My cousin out there trying to dox me, and, I had to stop my commentary for a few months, lest, she sees it and whines that I said something that she didn't like. And, I stand by everything that I said, by the way. Total bangers. I just got there. We got this news article in the news. And remember, I don't even live in the Woodlands, guys. Which is true to speak of. I'm out there, in the Woodlands, in the newspapers, just crushing all the kids in air hockey, playing basketball. I think I got second place in the game where you have to shoot the ball and you're in a line, so you shoot, and if you miss, and the other person tries to get the rebound, and you keep trying to get the rebound. I don't know what it's called. But you have to try to come to the last person standing. I think I got like second or third place in that game. Yeah, maybe fourth. There's a lot of people, but I got I got better at the game. But I was crushing over there in air hockey. I was crushing those kids 7-1, 7-2. I think in one time I think I won 6-4. It was 7-4, but I actually scored. I scored first, like playing by myself, and it came up. I still beat them. So there's that. I was going on all these tangents. Anyway, I was the GOAT at air hockey. I am still the GOAT at air hockey. I remember on Super Bowl Sunday, while the Seahawks are playing the Patriots, this guy in a Broncos jersey, poor guy, Broncos should have made the Super Bowl at least, Bo Nix was so they had Jared Stidham in there. So, anyway, this guy in the Broncos jersey comes up to me, and we're playing air hockey. It's kind of weird, kind of smallish table, actually, pretty small. And we're coming up there, we're playing air hockey, and it's a pretty intense match, and I beat him 6-7, guys, 6-7. I beat him 6-7. I think I beat him 5-7, and I beat him 6. He was pretty good actually, and I beat him. So I give him a sweep. I mean, we really compete with me. Like he gets one, and I get one. He goes up 2. I come back and tie him again, and then we go to 7. I mean, it's amazing actually. I think the first 2 games we went to 10, and then we went to 7. So it's pretty close. I mean, I beat him like 10-9, 10-9 again, and 6-7. So he gave me some competition. But going in with this full sweep and sweeping the kids over at Woods Edge Church, and I had this kid, of course, who looked like Lexi Weed. This is, of course, the era of Disney Plus, because we had, we made money back then, guys. This is the era of Disney Plus. I remember talking to a publicist. This woman wanted me to pay her $2,000 a month to get press coverage. I'm like, heck no, guys. Fox News is great, but I can't afford $2,000 a month. I'm sorry. But then there was I could have been the next Brian and Hollyhand, though. I could have been the next Brian and Hollyhand. Tragically, I never got to do this, but I always wanted to call into the Charlie Cook show, and I had a question for him. I still have it typed out on my phone, but I was like, I don't know if I want to pay for that. I wanted to ask him a question. Unfortunately, of course, that never happened. But I'm in this era as well. But of course, I can't really create much content. I have to have this mid-tier, not as hot take-ish podcast as me. If she saw this right now with the big, beautiful American flag behind with this, front, she might be like, what are you doing? Anyway, we still love it. But, I'm in this era. And we're hitting off all these wins. And unfortunately, my uncle saw the news headline. I was able to get out of that. I don't know. Teflon Tech, guys. Teflon Tech. I don't know how we're able to do it. We keep doing it. We keep winning. So yeah, Teflon Tech, TTB, W Tech in the chat, guys. Let me check the chat. W Tech. And that's what's happening at the same time. So we're doing great for one policy wins. We're not getting nuked by MI6 and AI 8. We're staying afloat by basically not apologizing, which is cool. Never back down, never give up, and we're in the newspapers, and we're winning at air hockey. And the good thing about that is I'm playing against these kids. I wanted to talk to Lexi Weed. Check. Okay, just checking. I want to talk to Lexi Weed, but unfortunately, of course, that was not possible. Lexi Weed from church. Her name was Lexi Weed, but she looked just like Lexi. Though she did go. I showed her my little spy scope, and she thought it was cool, so that was pretty cool. Anyway, I was over there at Woods Edge Church and winning at, but we weren't really winning at home. That was pretty sad. But we got our article in the news, so that was pretty cool. Of course, celebrating our 5th anniversary and having some of the best banger podcast episodes to date. I think the MI6 era podcast is some of the funniest because, remember that time I took a test on, because, Marie Lamont had some new scandal that she wanted to go to. She was like, you have a class on MI6. So, I took a test on Grok and ChatGPT and Gemini, and they all came back clean and clear. The results were clean, the results were clear, as the Pulse headline says. So, yeah, there was that. Yeah, there was that. It's so amazing. As the anniversary of this event. Now, there's other people, haters gonna hate, as Travis Kelce's wife once said, haters gonna hate. And of course, the haters hate America. They hate America, guys. So there is Prestonwood Baptist Church up in Texas. Now this peak guys, W Church, honestly, W Church. Anyway, this is Prestonwood Baptist Church. They always do this thing called a salute to the armed forces and the soldiers, and basically honor America to every 4th of July, or around 4th of July. This is the photo of what they do. So this is from the Baptist News Global, which isn't that Baptist, by the way. It's not that Baptist. Anyway, Baptist News Global basically whines about this, but this is odd. Like, there's people hating on this. Let me give you a clip of their most recent one. I thought they were going to do it tomorrow, which is why I had this clip pulled up. They actually did it last week. So here's a clip of them basically doing it here. This is from Sunday in June 28th. W fashion. My gosh, wow. So much.
in and out, hear them shout, cows are marching all about, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high in the field artillery. Count out your numbers loud and strong. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And wherever you go, you will always know that those caissons go rolling along.
Next, the United
I mean, guys, honestly, it's people comments hating, whining about this. You know, there's some guy on it. Oh man, this is Christian nationalism. Oh my gosh, like seriously, Christian. This is, I mean, guys, this is objectively cool. I mean, look at this, guys. First of all, can we talk about the technology? Can we, I mean, guys? I absolutely mentions, man. You stupid Protestant. You know, nah. Now look, sometimes we may talk a little bit cringe, like that guy on the Bryce Crawford podcast. Sometimes we might start, witnessing to the batteries in the remote. But my gosh, is this on? I mean, I tried to basically replicate this with my set. You can see the, the big curved screen here. But I mean, I am drooling with all. I mean, guys, look at this. We have basically a one big curved screen here, guys. On the back, you have the American flag. You have this huge stage here. Then you have this choir up there singing, and you have the projector projecting our logo up there, and you have the cross here. I don't know, the Catholic flag. You don't have crosses in the church, oh guys. It's right there. You can see it. It's right there, right in between the choir. Which this song's actually good. Okay, not too many songs are good. This one's great. And then you have this huge screen at the top here that's basically projecting the U.S. flag here. So much patriotism. Oh my gosh, look at this. And then you have the another projector here. I mean, look. I mean, if this if this shut down, yeah, and it's go here for 3 weeks, I was weeping. Imagine you go to this church, guys, and they renovate the sanctuary. Maybe they add a fourth screen or something, which would be even more epic, honestly. They add a fourth screen, and they have to shut it down for 3 weeks, and you have to go down to some other church that doesn't have this. It's still a great church, but still, I mean, imagine the production quality that you were accustomed to. Just like wow. And then of course, we have all the U.S. flags around here, with the Christian flag next. I mean, is this not all? I saw this book. There's this book going around. Let me see if I can hold it up here on the screen. There's this book going around. Let me see if I have it here. It's in my orb. Nope, that's Let me see if the book. Here it is. Yes, here it is. This is this book. There's basically whining about this. It's a book. I got it. It was at one of those learning libraries where I was out, canvassing or whatever, and they had it as one of those libraries where you can just basically take a book as on the side of the road or whatever. So if I go back, I'll give it back. But I think I'm allowed to take it. If not, I'm pretty sure that they're happy that someone on the right is reading this book, because maybe they'll convince me or something. But anyway, this is this book. I haven't read it yet, but it's this book that's basically whining about what we just saw. It's called The Kingdom, the Power, and the Glory, talking about American evangelicals in an age of alleged extremism, written by someone with the last name of, I'm not joking, Alberta. So yeah, I don't know if we want these Canadians talking about this. I mean, the gravity that he chooses here, is this supposed to be a bad thing? Is this supposed to be bad? Honestly, how are you supposed to sit here and pretend that this is bad? Are we actually supposed to sit here and actually, are we actually supposed to sit here and act like that no one likes this?
United States Navy.
Anchors away, my boys. Anchors away. Farewell to all the shores we sail. Break up day, day, day.
That's all. Pretend that this is bad. Are we really supposed to pretend that them having influence over the government and them having this special service where we honor, of course, the United States of America is supposed to be a bad thing? Are we really supposed to sit here and whine about alleged experience. I mean, bro, this is the most oilicious image that has ever graced the internet in all of human history. In all of human history. I mean, bro, the only thing that would make this cool is like if the president of the United States was standing there. I mean, guys, is this? Oh, so freaking cool. This is again why I am America's all evangelical. So cool. Like so sometimes I might pick fun at you guys. I might make fun of it a little bit. You guys might be like, guys, calm down. Tone it down, guys. Simmer down. I might be like, simmer down, guys. I might be like, stop freaking out. But at the end of the day, I love y'all, and I am one of y'all. But I have to be honest with you, okay? I can't just sit here and be like, go along with this. But I can't go along with what we just saw. I mean, amazing. And here's another one from California. Now, they did have a video that was on Protestia, but of the people up there, waving their Bibles. It's kind of weird. Not gonna lie. Let me see if I can find the Protestia video. We love Protestia. Protestia, I don't know what they have to say about my stance on stuff, but we still love them. We still love Protestia. Unconditional love. Addie Buff Stuckey said that they were kind of sketch though, so I don't know about that one. I don't know. Protestia, why are you putting this out? Here it is. So there are these kids who are singing a song about God's word. Now, you're going to understand why this is relevant later, but why am I watching this? This is a tech. Anyway, this is from Protestia. Yeah, I have no idea what they're saying at this point. Always, suggesting you put a screen up so I understand a word that you're saying. Are you ready? Who's this guy squawking? This guy, this kid's up there singing like 1,000 kids, and this guy just walked. He just walked across the stage.
I sing, it's the same one the old-time revival did bring. It's the only one verse authorized by the king. God's wonderful book, divine I love. Come on! That's what I'm talking about. The light of my pathway is shine.
Okay, cool. That's great. All right. So the point of that Protestia clip is, of course, the last verse, which we were talking about how, with the KJV only, because the king or something, which is kind of interesting. It's still common. I mean, it's kind of old, and it's also just kind of weird. But there's no right. They still do something right. There's no right for the people in the comments be whining about what I'm about to show you here on the screen. Again, like Travis Kelce's wife once said, hey, people are always gonna whine about what again might be the second most oilicious thing that I've seen in my life. Anyway, let's go. Hopefully it's in my bookmarks, because if not, then we're gonna have a lot of hard time trying to find it. Oh, there's all posts. There it is. There we go. So now they did this. So I mean, we're not gonna watch the whole thing. We don't have time for that, honestly. Oh, they do have a screen. It wasn't visible. Well, word of advice: make it visible so I know what you're saying in the words, guys. I don't want to have to rely on Protestia to do stuff for me. Anyway, here we go. This is one of the things where they're singing about the Stars and Stripes. And first, I'm going to show you the screen, and then I'll show you the comments and see what people have to say about that. Ready? Yeah. That's the cameras, guys. Here we go. Oh, sorry, cut. Are we still waving? Is that normal? This is a big. I've never been here before. Cool. Great. We're not gonna watch the whole video. Lots more. Very cool. It basically sounds like that song some song I sang in Rebecca. I think it was "I Love America, I Love This Land" something. At the beginning of every Bible class, right? They'd sing some sort of patriotic song. It'd be like the national anthem, or "I Love America," or "My Country 'Tis of Thee." Just some patriotic song. Or "God Bless America," whatever. And then, of course, they pray and sing, put half the flag, whatever. Pledge the Christian flag. Very cool. Are we supposed to sit here and pretend that this is a bad thing? No, I think this is cool. I mean, honestly, it would spice up, first of all, it spices up the service. You don't get this every time. It's not bad. Okay, it's not like about the sacrificing goats on an altar or something. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, that would spice up the service, but that would also be bad, okay? Let's turn to the Instagram comments. This is heresy. How? Please explain how this is heresy. Church should be about God, not America. All right, well, it is about God. They're singing about God. We are. Look, screen, guys. God, in God we trust. One nation under God. Is freedom and democracy that bad? I'm saying this to normal people. Okay, I don't want people calling those. Well, George Washington was actually worse than James Buchanan. All right, well, sure. We can go with that. All right, here's another person. I think this is from the same service.
See the shining sea. I love this land, home of the brave and free. I love the liberty, the justice, and the truth on which we stand.
Yeah, you got the commenters again saying idolatry at its finest. Why are you guys singing that in a church? What else would they sing it? There's another church that had a service. It was a second service. You had to pay to get in because it was a special patriotic service on the end of a Sunday. It was a separate service. Not that it should have been bad if it was a first service, like we've seen. It was like merging this in a church service. Totally fine and totally cool. And it actually makes the church service better. Okay. But it was a second service, basically a voluntary event. You didn't have to go there. People are getting in the comments were like, keeping the Sabbath and honoring the Lord's Day by doing this, it's idolatry. Oh my gosh, stop being insufferable. Please, cut it out. For the love of all that's good. Cut it out. Cut it out. We don't care. Let me tell you this, we love God and you also love this country. We love the United States of America. And now let's turn to our tech headlines for the top 25 tech inventions for America 250. I mean, what a better way to celebrate this American holiday by doing this. And also imagine not celebrating the greatest country on earth inside of church. Like, is that not cool? Is that not normal? Obviously it is. Obviously so. Anyway, here we go. Here are the top tech headlines. The top American tech inventions for America 250. We're going 25 to 1. Happy America 250, everybody. For this great holiday, we're going to be ranking the top 25 tech inventions the United States of America has produced. We have produced so much tech, and I didn't want this just to be this sort of, internet, GPS, the car, sort of article. I want to get down in the nitty-gritty, some of the interesting things. Obviously, the internet and GPS is on this list. Spoiler alert. Obviously so. But I wanted other things to be present here as well, things that we may not focus on. And I think, like I was talking about, with our American ingenuity and exceptionalism, the credit card network comes to them. Especially because think about it, it's the credit card network. The credit cards have been around since the 50s. But in the 50s, you had to pick up your phone, you had to call, and basically transmit the credit card details to the bank by calling them. And you're like that. Imagine you try to buy something online, you're like, hi guys, my credit card number is 12345, put in my PIN 6767, and then, all of that. Right, you don't want to have to do that. So in the 70s, they invented an electronic credit card network, which we said, okay, cool, whatever. Like we have Square Tools, we can do all this stuff. But think about this. This was 20 years before the World Wide Web. This wasn't even on the internet. They used leased lines and some sort of modem. And they figured out. I think leased lines are so interesting. Reading about telecommunications, the Cuckoo's Egg book is kind of cool. Kind of communist, actually. Because the guy's like, why am I helping the government? I don't really care about the Cold War or whatever. It's kind of tragic, actually. But anyway, these communication networks that were kind of part of the internet, kind of not part of the internet, but this was not part of the internet. This was on a leased lines that connected to get this, a data center in 1970 that no one burned down. And they were able to get information on a card to connect you to a bank, to a data center in California. Honestly, I want to do a deep dive on this. This is the kind of stuff that I want to read and be interested in. I mean, if you just think about the technology that we use in our day-to-day, everyday life, and you look at it, you're like, what do we figure that out? The barcode. Yeah, 24, sorry, 24. Think about it. It was invented in 1952, but really didn't go into use until 1970 because we didn't have fast enough computers for it. We figured out how just some lines, a bar of code, can relate with the QR code. I think that was Japan, but it's basically a form of barcode, can store data. But here, you can have access to a database where it just basically tells you something. And they figured this out by some guy. The inventor of the barcode figured this out by drawing Morse code in the sand. Sand has done a lot for computing, actually. But think about this, the American ingenuity, American mind. American inventors are always thinking, dreaming, and innovating about what can we do better. And I sometimes get some of my best ideas by just sitting around and thinking about what can we do? What can we do? How can we make this better? I get some of my best ideas from that, actually. And this guy just drawing stuff in the sand, and he vastly improved this country. He vastly improved shopping. He vastly improved checkout. Microwave. Again, this probably should be higher, honestly. Fast cooking. That was import developed by Raytheon, a defense contractor. So this might be the most American invention ever. It speeds stuff up, and it was created by a defense contractor. Kinda. Like some of it was, some of it wasn't. But Raytheon kind of helped put it into production. Honestly, one of the great things that Raytheon has done for society, guys. The yellow line, football, again, America's sport is football. It's not basketball. It's not baseball. Okay? I've said this before, but football is much more of an American game. It's much more American than baseball. Of standing there and hitting a ball with a dang stick and missing 70% of the time. Imagine if the United States missed 70%. Imagine if we lost 70% of our wars. Imagine if we just gave up 70% of our states. No, that would not be success. Football. You are fighting, clawing for every inch, every yard of turf. You're out there. You're winning. And the quarterback, he better have a 70% pass, 60, 70%, completion percentage at least. Are we kidding? If your quarterback is out there throwing picks 70% of the time, he's getting benched. Your quarterback is throwing completions 30% of the time, he's getting benched. In baseball, you can miss the ball 70% of the time, and that's fine. You're one of the greats. And I guess if you're a pitcher, even if you do your job 70, 80% of the time as well, I mean, you gotta be near perfect. Because, you're throwing a 100-mile-per-hour ball at a tiny little stick. Honestly, it's a miracle that someone even hits the ball. Like, you're trying to hit a ball with a tiny stick. Anyway, back to the Yellow Line broadcast. It's really brought so many innovations to the United States. We had so many broadcast innovations. Yeah, it started with the Yellow Line, but it's finished with 3D graphics on the screen. People check, we also have the scores as well. Just so cool. I think the laser had some part of this as well. Obviously, it's not a real line on the field, but because of the complex mapping that they have to use, the story of the Yellow Line is very, very interesting. Like, this is developed in the 90s, so they had to take a 3D model of every NFL field. And for those of you who don't know, NFL fields are slightly curved, actually, so that rainwater rolls off. So it's curved. So from here to here, we have to do some complex mapping and measuring. It's not just 50 yards there, 100 yards there, not. You have to actually do measuring. And you have to have a complex system of cameras, of course, because the first down line is always going to change and move at every yard line. It's not like you can just put it at a white line. And you have to make sure that it doesn't blend in with people's shoes and people's shirts and the field and all of that. All this in 1990. I think the laser helped in this. But the laser is one of the most important inventions of all time. Let there be light. Let there be light. Invented in 1960, used for barcode scanners to measure the distance of the Earth to the moon, which we landed on 6 times, guys, and planted our flag, yes, sir. And to surgery, I mean, this is one of the most useful applications of light on Earth. 20, I'm one of the PC-based video editors. Think about it. If I wanted to do what I was doing right now 30 years ago, this would cost me $100,000. Not to mention, of course, the internet did not support broadcasts like this. So I would have needed a very special computer. I would have needed a pretty powerful computer to have all these graphics and layers. And, the camera that I have right now is a lot better. But these PC-based editors, into now TikTok and Instagram, in the palm of your hand. I can do much more editing on this than any movie editor had in 40 years. Because, they're out there cutting up the film and splicing and edit to a manual. Being able to create that and have that in the palm of our hands in a system, amazing. That's why I stopped tuning. The word processor. It's basically the video editor for words. So I don't know why I had a brain fart there, but this single-handedly basically took America from the typewriter age to the computer age. Because think about when you're on a typewriter and you're out there typing, you make one typo. You have to use some whiteout. You can't really delete. You can't really go back. It's very physical. Have you ever typed on the typewriter before? You gotta bang. You gotta mash those keys. On a keyboard, I mean, you don't even have to mash it. You got a touchscreen keyboard. You got, little surf keys, right? I've never touched on a typewriter before. Might have been a few times. And of course, another good reason for this is instead of having to type out the same thing multiple times, I remember when I was in Abeka scribbling out my 500-600 word essay by hand, which of course people want to bring back. Heck no, never again. Never again are we going to do that. Never again. Never again. But imagine typing out something and you would have to use carbon paper to copy it, or have to type it multiple times. But now you can just save it, put it on a floppy disk, put it into your printer, print it out, connect to the serial code, print it out. And think about the amount of companies that basically burst onto the scene because of this. Microsoft Word was Microsoft's killer app. Well, actually, it's Excel, but Microsoft Word, they put that on Mac OS as well. But think about how much it drove the American economy in the 80s and the 90s, and the American computers in the 80s and the 90s. That's cool. But you know what's even cooler? Escalators. I used to be scared of going down. I almost fell off, actually. In Macy's, I dropped my cup. Might have been like 30 feet. Not a good day. Anyways, unless you live in Wyoming where they only have 2 escalators, one that goes up, one that goes down, you most likely have ridden an escalator. And when it debuted, it actually was an amusement park ride, which really shows how far we've come. Like, imagine paying to ride an escalator. No one's going to do that anymore. Now it's in every mall in America. Now, like I was saying, with the word processor, with USBs, with the floppy drive, you don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to do it. You can have a USB. Imagine needing 3 different ports to get access to data, connect to a monitor. Using a CD or floppy drive to access data. With the USB, these people came together and basically changed the world. Everything has USB now. USB-C, USB-A. When people ask me what my type is, what do I say? USB-C. That is my type. Electric washing machines might be higher. Honestly, should be higher than podcast. But electric washing machine saves hours and hours of time. Imagine sitting there in a bowl or a tub or going down to the river and taking like an hour doing this to wash your dang clothes. Like, heck no. Heck no. So thank you to the guy who invented the electric washing machine. The podcast. I know people pretend to hate on the podcast, like that we have too many podcasts. It might be true that we have too many, but, great stuff to react to. Interesting thing. I think it's really transformed the way that we view content. So many people become millionaires by launching podcasts. Everyone has their own voice. For me to do this 20 years ago, I would have had to be on the radio. I would have had to go up and become like Stephen A. Smith. I've read his book before. Stephen A. Smith, a great, American innovator. I know people like to hate on him. Some of his political takes are kind of trash, but regardless, Stephen A. Smith, he goes to college. He breaks his bone or whatever, so he can't play basketball anymore. He writes for the Winston-Salem State Journal and even reports on the beloved coach and says that he needs to step down and resign. He gets hired to work at a newspaper, basically covering some not even MLS soccer game. I think it was like junior soccer, but if he didn't even know the sport of soccer that well, if they taught him soccer, that was his beat. He got put on these soccer games. And he was covering this basically out of journals in the 90s. And he talks about how they fired him over email or something like that. Like they sent an email, he actually sent an email or whatever, which is actually interesting. I want to know like when exactly this was. I want to know the tech behind this. Like what kind of phone did he have? What kind of email did he have? But in any case, he has this, and then finally he's writing for these newspapers. He finally becomes a columnist, and then he gets onto the radio, and then he gets to ESPN, and then he gets fired from ESPN. He's on the radio again, and then he's on some other TV shows, and he comes back to ESPN, and finally he gets to launch his own podcast. I've actually been on the air in the podcast field longer than he has. Actually, we're about to hit our podcast 4-year anniversary. If you didn't know that. So everyone has a voice now. Everyone's been able to create and say stuff. And yeah, sometimes they say absolutely stupid. I mean, just some of the dumbest stuff imaginable. When that makes for so funny social media clips. It makes for such funny social media clips. So the podcast, W invention. The quarterback earpiece. Sports technology, very cool. The grounds, for once, actually contributed something to society. But I think the quarterback earpiece might be the most American invention of all time. Remember the CIA? They're putting bugs on cats and trying to control them like little remote control cars. They're putting bugs and fake dragonflies that fly around that use some sort of tiny gas powder. This is again why the CIA is my second favorite spy agency, guys. And I'm on the United States of America. My second favorite spy agency. So innovative. And I've always wanted like these little earpieces. I've always liked radio communication. Like, there's a reason why I reviewed the texting walkie-talkies. There's a reason why. Because I think it's so very insanely cool to be able to text on a walkie-talkie. But this is in the 50s, and you're calling someone in your earpiece like a dang spy tool. And the story of how he got caught is actually the police were scanning some radio frequencies, and they was able to intercept it and track it down. Which, how did they do that? I need to find out, actually. But, I mean, using cutting-edge technology for sports, the most American sport, football, he can compete. The Telestrator. You can see that I am a huge fan of sports. The Telestrator, let me say more. This allows you to draw on live images so you can draw up the plays. And it's led to more advanced VFX tech. Now, I know you guys are going to hate this one, but the generative pre-trained transformer, one of the most impressive inventions of all time. Basically, you're taking the stuff all human knowledge up until 2017, putting into this computer program that uses a lot of math, a lot of ingenuity, a lot of funding from capitalist companies. Let's remember, guys, the Soviet Union didn't create this. They didn't exist, but still, the Soviet Union didn't create this. We put millions and billions of dollars into this technology. Google was backing millions of dollars into this. They had the generative pre-trained transformer too. And transformer, I don't know. I can speak, guys. And they basically nuked all of human existence in there. And just 5 short years later, we got a product that has transformed the world, whether you love it or hate it, with consumer-facing artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. It has changed the world in just 3 short years. Changed the world. And we hold this power, not at some random data center. We hold this power, not like some big computer library or research system, which actually might have been even a little bit cooler because then you could try to hack into the systems and get access to that. It's kind of like the kid who hacked into the NASA system back in '99 to access the space, International Space Station source code. Like, how did they host that on a computer? Well, hacking's very. That's why I'm going to college for cybersecurity, even though I want a job in media. Anyway, they nuked the information on there. Just beautiful. America the beautiful. No other country would have really done this. Yeah, sure, there's some like European AI models, but the only tagline is use us because you're European. Heck no. I'm going to use ChatGPT because it's American. Digital cameras transform the world, honestly. Think about it. Imagine it's 1960. You want to take a photo? Take a photo. If you have your instant camera, I don't even think that existed then. I didn't exist. Whatever. Let's say you don't have an instant camera. You have a regular camera. You only have like 35 shots. You have to buy a roll of film down at the drugstore. Buy your roll of film. It costs some money. You take a picture. Then you go back down to the drugstore. You want your photo. It takes like a month to get it back. And you have to be very careful with your camera. Your film gets exposed, it's broken. Now the digital camera comes along. What happens? We see this on the palm of our wrists. We see this on our wrist. The technology got so small now. Yeah, I know there was like this Spynet Spygate watch came out like in 2011 that had film cartridges on it for some reason. Well, imagine you're running some sort of spy operation, and it's 2011, and you feel like your $20 spy watch, it's super bulky because you have to put an entire dang film canister in here, and you're not the CIA, so you couldn't, figure out how to make it smaller. CIA had those microfilm, the satellites orbiting the Earth. So cool. The satellites orbiting the Earth, and they release film canisters into the ocean to go get it. If that's not American ingenuity, I don't know what it is. What's not. But anyway, you play with a stupid little watch, and you take your canister out, and you're like, all right, guys, we have evidence that this kid stole some popcorn at the school fair. I remember once when I investigated like $4.50 worth of missing candy at the school. And I was on it. I remember when I busted some kids who were trying to sacrifice demons or whatever under a bridge. Someone blocked me for that. Something like, why did you report them? Because it's my job. Gosh darn it. Anyway, you have to take your film canister. You go down to like Sam's or Costco, and let's say you don't have the 1 hour turnaround because it's 2011. Everyone has a dang, digital camera like a civilized person, but you're this teen spy to pay for this $20 watch, and you have to sit there and wait 30 days to get your evidence back. But anyway, we got digital cameras. I remember having the VTech Kitty Zone watch. I got this watch, basically played the screen off of it. I don't know what happened. The screen basically fell off. And when I took off the little watch strap, I would like to pretend it was a 1.4 inch tablet. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, I had this, the Spynet watch was much cooler. It had night vision on. I remember waking up, it's like 4 o'clock, Christmas morning. I had this special gift I had for my brother. I didn't want to wake anyone up. I didn't want to turn on the lights. So I took my watch. I remember watching these YouTube ads because I wasn't allowed to watch YouTube growing up, sadly. But I was allowed to watch YouTube if I was looking for something to buy. And also, I wasn't allowed to watch YouTube, but I was allowed to read YouTube. Because watching and reading are two different things, so that's how I learned about the transcript feature. That's how I got around that. I am an expert lawyer. I am the lawyer, guys. It's kind of like that string around New York City. I gotta leave my house because there's a string that's touching it or something. Yeah, that's me, guys. Anyway, I'm waking up. It's 4 in the morning. I take my gift. I turn on the night vision mode. I look at the watch, and I walk through the highway. Hallway. Why am I talking about a highway? What are we talking about? No, I'm not going to run across no highway at 4 in the morning. Anyway, walk through the hallway. I walk and look at the little screen, and then I go and put the gift under the tree. So cool. 50 feet. And then I later got the night vision goggles because I saw it in the ad as well. I saved up $70 for that. So yeah, most expensive mission to that date. Unfortunately, it died. VTech Kitty Zone watch, I got that. Unfortunately, it didn't have any walkie-talkie features on it, no communications on it like they had on this. This is an old thing, yeah. I am the uncle of the VTech Kitty Zone watches, guys. The VTech Kitties, no one knows more about VTech Kitty Zone watches than me. I think the VTech technology is actually pretty cool. Like, you have kids texting on watches, like, really? Without, needing an app, without needing internet? Of course, it's like 30 feet away. You might as well shout, but still, very cool. That technology. And we have this in like a $40 watch for kids. Is that not cool? Is that not cool? Television. Need I say more? Cable television, satellite television, so cool. But television really transformed the world. And the story of how television was made was just this farmer was out in this field in 1922. He's driving his tractor, and he sees that the rows are all straight. And he's like, wow, I can do that. And again, it's always these people who are looking at the ground, they're doing stuff. They're looking at sand and creating the barcode, looking at sand and creating a freaking computer chip. And this guy, he's out there performing, Philo Winsworth, I think his name is, and he's looking at his form, and he's like, this is how we can make a television. This is how we can make images transmit onto a television. I mean, is that not an example of American ingenuity? When we look at something, we think, how can we make this better? It's kind of like that girl who was, looking at her battery or her phone charger and making it about the Lord. I once had a video, board game about this, about how you take one item, so let's take this charger and take a key, and you try to link it by creating different types of words. I had my cousin play it once. It's pretty cool. Anyway, that's basically what Americans are wired to do. We look at something, we think about how we make this better. Look at that plant over there. Let's make $100 billion by doing that. That's why we have the most billionaires and trillionaires in this country. That's why we have, so much innovation, so many large companies. That's why we dominate Europe in technology, because we look at the stuff that's around us and we think, how can we make it better? And that's, again, one of the reasons capitalism is the best. the phone and smartphone. We love to pretend to hate them, but it's amazing, guys. Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone in 1876, and it's pretty cool technology. You know, you could call, New York and Los Angeles for a lot of money. It would cost a lot of money back then. You could communicate from sea to signing sea in a very expensive minute via voice. Basically instant. But think about the technology that the phone network spawned. Not just phones, but we had fax machines, we had the T1 network, and we have computers going in there for dial-up internet access. Like the network that Alexander Graham Bell designed just to communicate voice to voice, maybe just a few towns over, basically laid the future of America's telecommunication infrastructure for the next decade and a half. And now we have pocket computers with the smartphone, where we saw these PDAs, and you have fledgling access to the internet with computers. And we're like, how can we merge this? We merge it together, and now we can literally communicate with multiple artificial intelligence models. Artificial intelligence, something that was basically a pipe dream in the 40s and 50s. And you can even run these offline and basically transform the world for the good in the palm of our hands. And we have merged so many things. I did this series back in 2022 about the things the smartphone replaces. Think about it. We got 8K video camera on here. We'll be slobbering over this kind of technology. We can position ourselves anywhere on planet Earth. Communicate with anyone. You can store terabytes of data on a phone. Half a terabyte on my phone. You have a more expensive phone, you can put a terabyte on there. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful what we have been able to devise. And the first smartphone, of course, created by IBM. C programming language. Basically still influencing the world. The entire world to this day. It's in the kernels of Android, Windows, iOS, I think macOS, and many systems apps are using it, or as derivatives with C++. Again, harnessing some sort of, creating your own language that is used in the world, even more than English, actually. There's more Windows users and Android users, and all these applications. You combine all those people together, and you combine all the native English speakers, there's more of them. C++ is the more spoken language than English itself. And we created that. And again, the American achievement of the 20th century, it may be the American achievement of all time, was landing man on the moon. And back to the Minecraft computer analogy, is, we're building this computer in Minecraft and it uses redstone to create a game or something. But think about this. Half a century before, we have a modern-looking computer whose RAM was sewn by hand. You say RAM is expensive now. These people were sewing RAM by hand. And just string somehow. Somehow, these people were able to code this with punch cards and RAM and all this, and landed man on another moon, on a being outside of Earth. They landed on the moon. And all of this, and the technology for that. They called the president of the United States from the moon. From the moon. They weren't even on Earth. Calling someone from Mount Everest is cool. Calling someone from the moon while planting the American flag on there. Just simply amazing. Simply amazing. The airplane, again, very funny invention. Think about this. If Wilbur and Orville Wright had read the New York Times 70 days ago, they would have found out that planes were impossible. So they cited some scientists that said human flight would not happen in 1 billion to 10 million years. The headline that you guys see on the internet about that is fake, but the source is real. And they made something that can get you from New York to Los Angeles in 5 hours. Not at the time. But this technology, again, radically transformed the world. Gave us basically a brand new industry. The airline industry. Air conditioning. All the poor people in Europe don't have AC anymore. Because, it's bad. They're mad at us or something. They think that, we're taking our AC and blowing that heat to them. But again, basically making Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, parts of California, the entire South, livable. We're making some of our greatest states livable, guys. And think about the American spirit. In the 1800s, we went out there and tamed the wilderness with the Manifest Destiny. Now we're taking Manifest Destiny of our own house of our own apartments and making it the temperature that we want it to be. Gosh darn it, it's going to be 60 degrees if I want it in here. I don't care if it's 110 degrees outside. We will have popsicles in here, and you're going to like it. The graphical user interface, again, is another important piece of technology. It really spurred the development of computers. Think about it. Imagine we had to sit here and use the command line or something just to access the internet. But now we have this. We have so many GUIs from iOS to Android to Windows. Transistor just basically powers everything. Taking sand, making computer chips. GPS, again, another great thing from our Defense Department. Wanting to position anything on planet Earth. The Defense Department, the military, has created so many great inventions. And now we've basically created new industries of this. Uber, Lyft, geocaching, new sports like Pokemon Go and geocaching. And I think it's like this tag game where you're playing tag for like the entire month. And it keeps us safe by allowing us to precision guided missiles. We can drive around and hopefully not get lost. And of course, number one, the internet. Once again created by the Defense Department, again, came out of ARPANET because we feel that data would need to be transmitted as the Soviets attacked a nuclear attack. And now this powers the modern world today. Nothing has changed the world more than the internet has. We can research anything, we can communicate with anyone, and we figured out somehow how to create computers talk to each other, building this off of so many networks, from the computer network to the phone network to satellites, microwave transmitters. And now having artificial intelligence to type into this, it's just amazing. It's one of the more interesting things to read about. And just technology, internet itself, the World Wide Web, so we're just going to fast forward to like 30 years, has made so many millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires right here in the United States of America in the past 26 years. Just in this past century. It's been truly a force for growth in the world as disruptive as the atomic bomb. One of the most amazing inventions of all time. I mean, just truly, God bless America. Truly. And these innovations, of course, are why America is such a great nation. The greatest nation in the world. Sorry, I forgot to switch. And these innovations, of course, is why America is such a great nation, the greatest nation in the world. American exceptionalism and ingenuity inspired our inventors to seek out problems and make America a better place and to change the world, all while living in relative peace and prosperity, safe from war on the homeland and famine. Defended every single day by the brave men and women in our military who protect our constitutional republic, the same military that helped spark some of the greatest inventions that we just saw, such as the internet, the GPS, and the microwave. From the greatest inventors in history to entrepreneurs and dreamers building tomorrow, the spirit of freedom and opportunity has produced the technology, the prosperity, and progress that we enjoy today. Above all, we are one nation under God. Our founders built this country on Christian principles, as George Washington once proclaimed. It is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey His will, and to be grateful for His benefits, and to humbly implore His protection and favor. That is why we must boldly reject godless socialism and communism and every ideology that tries to erase our Christian heritage and break the American spirit. The systems have failed everywhere they've been tried, bringing poverty, oppression, and despair. Our innovators, the people who created the stuff that was on the list that I just showed, would have had no reason to build, create, wonder, and expand if they hadn't been tested by the trials and needs. Imagine the farmers out there in the fields being scared that the government's going to come take their food, and if they don't give it up, they're going to get shot and sent to a gulag. We would never have the TV. Imagine people in the deserts out there just dying in there instead of creating silicon chips. We never would have had the computer. You know, the Soviet Union, they only created one interesting thing, and that was, of course, the Tetris game. In any case, it was the United States, not communist USSR, that landed on the moon. It was the United States, not the communist USSR, that created the internet. It was the United States and not the communist USSR that created GPS. It was a hunger for more, for greater things that is in our DNA. It is our manifest destiny. Just as America spread from sea to shining sea, we must keep pushing innovation forward, exploring, creating, and unleashing the American spirit and exceptionalism that lives in all of us. As long as we remain one nation under God, indivisible, there is no limit to what America can achieve. for our generation and for the world. We must unleash the next generation of America's dominance and exceptionalism. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Listening to the UN, and to stop listening to quote-unquote international law that's condemning us for blowing up narco-terrorist boats. I mean, honestly, make them pay. What are they going to do about it? Invade? Please, cry me a river right now. No, international law is stupid. It has no jurisdiction here. We shouldn't be abiding by it or talking about it here in the United States at all. I don't give a crap about what international law has to say. States became the world's superpower, and I personally would like the United States to remain the world's only sole superpower. I do not want Chinese to become the language of the future. So this is the greatest country on planet Earth, and unapologetically American. Yes. Yes, supporting the greatest country on planet Earth is that is okay, fine. I admit it, guys. I admit it. And of course the great state of Texas. United States of America. If they want to come over here and try to enforce international law, they can, do something. Oh, the UN's gonna come after us. I don't give a crap. We'll kick them out of our country, for instance, and then they can't really do anything. If they weren't trying to poison American citizens, and this wouldn't have happened to them. So, suck for them. Too bad, so sad. You lost. Great country, and I love it. We are the greatest country on planet Earth. You should be so glad and thankful for America, because American, that's right, proud patriotic American. Before I'm black, I'm Most of you know that the national anthem was written by Francis Scott Key during the War of 1812. But did you know that the flag in the song at Fort McHenry was sewn by Baltimore widow Mary Pickersgill? The flag was sewn in 1813 and it had 15 stars and stripes indicating 2 new states were added to the Union. She was paid $405.90, or the equivalent of over $8,000 today. The reason why we should stop the progress of technology because you people are mad. We will drag you kicking and screaming. It is against the ethos of America to stop innovation. We have won. And even though I couldn't do much, I did my part. And conquer we must, for the cause is just. This be our motto. As it says in the 4th verse of our national anthem, praise the power that be, that preserved us a nation. God bless you. God bless America.
So much more. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. May we always continue to innovate. May we always stay one nation under God. Man, happy birthday to the greatest nation on planet Earth. Happy America.